Witchy Roos. Well, tonight I'm going to do a video, and it's going to be a long one because this is probably the only video that I'm ever going to do, and it's also going to be about new things that maybe you didn't know. Most of it, if you're an experienced witch, you're going to know, but there are a few things that you might learn that you did not know. I'm an avid reader, which you all know by now, and I'm also very much a green witch. In the winter season, I tend to get kind of depressed and down, and I really have to pull things out of my hat to keep myself happy through the winter months, because here in the Midwest we can have winters that last 6 months out of the year before actual warmer weather and all the snow melts and the ground unthaws. This winter has been particularly harsh. A ton of precipitation, meaning snow, very frigid cold temperatures with wind chill factor like 50 below zero. It has been a very harsh winter this year. I didn't zoom up super close tonight because I was trying to let you guys see my beautiful attempts at bringing some spring into the house, and I wanted you to be able to kind of see some of these things. I don't know if you're able to see any of my candles lit, but so let's jump right into it. We've got a lot to cover, and I'm going to be reading from the book that I got off Amazon, Ostara. So we'll start in the beginning. There are 8 Sabbats or holidays celebrated by witches and many other neo-pagan, Wiccan, modern pagans of today. Together, these 8 sacred days make up what's known as the Wheel of the Year, or the Sabbat cycle, with each Sabbat corresponding to an important turning point in nature's annual journey through the seasons. Devoting our attention to the Wheel of the Year allows us to better attune ourselves to the energetic cycles of nature and listen to what each season is whispering or shouting to us, rather than... Sorry, my dogs are fighting over doggy cookies. What better time to start new projects than as the earth reawakens after a long winter, and suddenly everything is blooming and growing and shooting up out of the ground again? What better time to meditate and plan ahead than during the introspective slumber of winter? You'll learn how to focus on the spiritual aspects of the Wheel of the Year, how to celebrate your own ongoing growth and achievements. This may be your first encounter with Ostara. Don't fret, you'll catch on. The 8 Sabbats each mark an important part in nature's annual cycles. They are depicted as 8 evenly spaced spokes on a wheel representing the year as a whole. The dates on which they fall are nearly evenly spaced on the calendar as well. This is for the northern hemisphere that I'm talking about tonight. Let's see here. What else do I want to tell you about? On the spring equinox, also known as Ostara, night and day are again equal in length, and following this, the days will grow longer than the nights. The spring equinox is a time of renewal, a time to plant seeds as the earth once again comes to life soon. We decorate eggs as a symbol of hope, life, fertility, and we perform rituals to energize ourselves so that we can find the power and the passion to live and grow. Modern pagans take inspiration from many pre-Christian spiritual traditions. Exemplified by the Wheel of the Year, the cycle of 8 festivals we recognize throughout modern paganism today was never celebrated in full by any one particular pre-Christian culture. In the 1940s and the 1950s, a British man named Gerald Gardner created the new religion of Wicca by drawing on a variety of cultures and traditions, deriving and adapting practices from pre-Christian religion and beliefs, folk magic and various shamanic disciplines, and esoteric orders. He combined multicultural equinox and solstice traditions with Celtic feast days and early European agricultural and pastoral celebrations to create a single model that became the framework for the Wiccan ritual year. The Wiccan ritual year is popular and followed by Wiccans and witches as well as many eclectic pagans or various stripes. Some pagans only observe half of the Sabbaths, either the quarters or the cross quarters. Other pagans reject the wheel of the year altogether and follow a festival calendar based on the culture of whatever specific path they follow, rather than a nature-based agrarian cycle. We each have unique paths in our work. So if you come across a video of anyone that claims they're witch or whatever, and they try to tell you that there's no such thing, you can't be a Christian witch, or you can't be part Wiccan even if it's not a religion to you, you can't be paganism, you can't be a little bit of Native American, you can be whatever it is you want to be. That's what witchiness is. It's an eclectic array of different cultural beliefs that you're pulling in, that you believe in deep within yourself to be true. Whether it's a little bit of Wiccan and it's a little bit of paganism, or whether it's a lot of Christianity, or whether it's hoodoo work, root work, conjure work, whatever it is, Native American beliefs and herbalism. You can be whatever it is that you want to be, and nobody has the right to sit there and say, there's no such thing as a Christian witch. Baloney. If you come across videos like that, they don't know what they're talking about. Hoodoo is very much, guys, hoodoo is very much in the belief of Christianity and the Bible and all that. It was developed from slaves that were brought over here by Africa, and they couldn't call their gods what they called them in Africa because their masters would beat them to death. So in order for them to continue with their own special religion and belief, to hold on to their sanity as they live through such belief system within the Bible, within Christianity. The end of winter is finally at hand. Many people are coming out of a time filled with extreme cold and often much darkness as well. For many, the winter months can be downright depressing, and between a lack of sunshine and horrible weather. With the coming of Ostara in spring, the sun is shining once more. The weather is improving and growing warmer each and every day. Birds are returning, flowers are poking through soon. Any leftover snow and grass will be soon turning from a faded brown-yellow to a vibrant yellow-green. While thoughts and projects have been internalized during the winter months, it's now time to focus once again on the world blossoming outside of us. Ostara, which is also known as the vernal equinox, falls generally on March 21st or the 20th in the northern hemisphere, September in the southern hemisphere, and marks when the sun hits its zenith, the point of the celestial sphere directly over the equator. Each year, the time of the equinox shifts about 6 hours, making it possible for the precise equinox to fall between March 20 and March 21st. Ostara is the official start of spring in the northern hemisphere. Whether you live in an area that's warm year-round or in an area where the ground is still covered in snow when this date rolls around, which we will totally be under snow still. While there is rather a complicated mathematical formula to figure out the precise equinox and when it will occur, most people are happy just to use an almanac or check a calendar or look up the day or even the precise moment somewhere online. After Yule, because of the tilt of the Earth's axis, the sun light moves farther north and gives those of us in the northern hemisphere days that are growing in length. At Ostara, the day and night are close to equal, with the sun still growing stronger and the days longer. With more sunlight and the heat given off due to the angle of the sun's rays, the Earth begins waking up. From the plants starting to sprout from the ground to the trees growing buds for leaves and flowers to burst from, the animals start to come out of hibernation and others that begin their mating season. It's the time of rebirth, renewal, and the cycle of life is starting anew. And let's see. The themes of Ostara are most closely associated with the Christian Easter. Though they don't always fall very close on the calendar, Easter is held on the first Sunday after the first full moon that happens either on or after the vernal equinox, unless that full moon is itself on a Sunday. Then Easter is delayed for 1 week. Debates still go on as to whether or not Easter was stolen from Ostara or any pre-Christian equinox feasts or fertility. Excuse me. Time to take a drink of Java. Good stuff. Okay. Or the other way around, whether or not it was stolen from Ostara. At Easter, Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, considered to be the Son of God, who was sacrificed 2 days earlier on Good Friday. This provides a parallel with the themes of resurrection and rebirth often shared with Ostara. Although Jesus himself is not reborn, he was resurrected from his tomb, and because he had died for the sins of those who believe in him, those people have the chance to be reborn through him. Modern Easter, like Ostara, is celebrated with springtime imagery of eggs, baby chicks, bunnies, emphasizing new life rather than the tomb of death. The Christian symbolism of the lamb is due to the fact that Jesus' death during Passover made him a Passover lamb. The Jewish holiday of Passover, the 15th day of Nisan, which begins on the night of the full moon after the northern vernal equinox, is a very somber holiday that celebrates the exodus of the Israelites out of Egypt. Before the Pharaoh let the Israeli slaves go, God inflicted 10 plagues upon the Egyptians, the last one being the death of each firstborn into an Egyptian home. In order to save their children, the Jews were instructed to paint their doorways with blood of a lamb, so the Spirit of God knew to pass over and leave the inhabitants unharmed. But there have always been many other holidays and deities associated with this time of year besides Passover and Easter. While the Druids didn't celebrate Ostara, they did... Sorry, my dog was dropping her cookie on my stuff. Where am I? Druids didn't celebrate Ostara. They did have their own holiday known as Alban Eiler, which translates into light of the earth. It was the day that both the night and the day stood as equals. This was the day that crops were to be sown, and it was seen as a time of transition. Many believe the Druids thought this to be the highly magical time, the sacred fire. Celebration of springtime deities. When working with deities at this time of year, we are best suited by choosing ones that embody the spirit of life and renewal. Traditionally at this time of year, maiden goddesses have reigned and been honored, while the attention of the gods goes to the young, virile, I hope I'm pronouncing that, virile male gods. Those associated with the spring animals' rebirth and hunting have been celebrated the most. In ancient Greece, I'm going to try and pronounce these right, okay? Dionysus and Persephone, Persephone, were both celebrated as the deities of spring. Dionysus, a god of plants, grapevines especially, was said to be in terrible pain throughout the winter months. In spring, his strength would return with the flowering of the earth, Ireland's Druid school. Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, who was goddess of the crops and harvest, was kidnapped by Hades. Demeter was so upset over her missing daughter, she was unable to tend to the crops, which began to die off. Zeus sent Hermes to speak with Hades about releasing Persephone so that the crops would not completely die off and the people would be able to live. it's either Hermes or Hermes, brokered a deal with Hades that allowed Persephone to return to her mother in the spring for 6 months. After her time was up, she would return to the underworld to live as Hades' queen each year. Demeter, delighting in the return of her daughter, ensures that each spring the flowers are blooming in order to greet Persephone on her return home. Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of beauty, love, pleasure, and procreation, was said to have flowers spring up at her feet as she walked on the land when first rising from the foam of the sea. She's connected to the generative powers of nature and therefore is highly connected to the spring as the earth comes back to life. Some considered her the mother of all living things, and each spring she births the world into life again. Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty, is associated with cultivated fields and gardens and is seen as the Roman equivalent of Aphrodite. Perhaps one of the saddest stories of a goddess celebrated in the spring belongs to that of the Greek Clytie. Clytie began her life as a water nymph who was in love with the sun god Apollo. In some versions of this story, her love is unreturned, and so she sits forever watching for him cross the sky each day. Eventually, her legs and feet grow into the soil and turn into roots. Her body takes on the form of a stem, and her arms turns to leaves, while her face becomes a heliotrope that continues to watch the sun cross the sky each day. In other versions of the story, she's transformed into a flower after having sex with the sun god. So these are just some of the stories. There's many, many stories. You'll have to get this book. They have an Irish god and, you know, all kinds of stuff here. With the equinox being the beginning of the year, this explains why Aries, March 21st to April 19th, is the first sign of the zodiac year. This also helps to explain the names of some of our months a bit more as well. September means 7. Seems an odd choice for the 9th month of the year. October, octo, meaning 8 for the 10th month of the year. November is novum, meaning 9. And for the 11th month in December, decem or des, meaning 10 for the 12th month. With March being the first month, April would have been 2nd, May was 3rd, June was 4th, July was 5th, and so on. Ostara also gives us the chance to begin working on our internal selves. A lot of shadow work is to be done during the spring, and then you want to have also a journal, as I've mentioned in a previous video, that you can write your goals and things that you want to work on for this new year that we're in. Ostara also gives us a chance to begin working on our internal selves anew, just like New Year's Day. We till our own internal fields and plant our own emotional, mental, spiritual, or even physical crops that we hope to harvest by the end of the light half of the year. So we can use the dark half of the year to rest and to make plans again for the next light half of the year. These plans can be about virtually anything, whether it's learning a new skill, starting a new exercise program, losing some weight, going back to school, building an addition onto your home, anything at all. Now is the time to start projects, especially anything that is new to you. It is a time of hope, growth, anticipation, fitting of the sign of Aries. Anything is possible. And optimism is an all-time high. Set your goals high. If you don't reach them all this year, you can carry some over to the following year. But be optimistic that you can attain whatever it is you set your heart and mind to. The phoenix is known to be a magical creature of optimism. The phoenix is a beautiful bird, lives its life until it perishes in flames, but then resurrects itself from its own ashes for a brand new beginning and starts life anew. It is another ideal representation of Ostara, as it ties in with the themes of resurrection, new beginnings, and hope for the future. We all crash and burn sometimes. Perhaps there's something you tried to do in the past, but it just didn't work out. It may not have been a total failure after all. It may have been bad timing. Always learn something from your mistakes. That's how we grow. Is there a way to resurrect that failure from the ashes and start over again? Perhaps it was a failed relationship that you want to rekindle, or maybe it was end a bad toxic relationship, heal yourself, and then find a new so that you can have a fulfilling, happy relationship. Perhaps it was a missed opportunity at a relationship or some other adventure. Perhaps you had taken a class and you failed it. Now's the time to go back through those mess-ups and missed opportunities and decide which ones you want to try again and start over with. Never give up. Resurrect old ideas, make changes, and make a new enthusiasm. Project or ideas that failed before may be successful this time around by being started at a better time, designed for hope and new beginnings. The puka is another magical creature associated with this time of year, particularly through the Alban Eiler aspect. A puka is a mysterious and mischievous shape-shifting Irish creature of the Fae. Before the puka got a bad reputation, he was seen as a servant who helped to bring in the power of the vernal equinox to the land, woods, and fields. He may even have been a lover of the goddess herself, due to his physical makeup, often seen as half man, half rabbit, though he can be a combination of other creatures as well. He has a strong tie to rabbits and the symbol of fertility and potency. While the day of the equinox itself is about balance, it's important to remember that balance is fleeting, and the fact of the matter is true balance very seldom exists, even on the equinox, depending on your location, night and day still are not completely equal. The farther you are from the equator, the bigger the difference between reality and equality. You can work to achieve balance and work to maintain it, but truly keep balance stable is a difficult task, since life and circumstances are constantly changing. The equinox is also not only about balance, it's the beginning of the triumph of light over dark, warmth over cold, and day over night. It's the beginning of a new life. And that's really reassuring, I think. Every year, it's important that we have a new life, a new beginning. Because, we all make mistakes, we all sin, none of us are perfect. Let's see, some seasonal activities. Let's see, if you're a stay-at-home mom, let's say, and you're trying to keep your spirits up, this is what I've been having to do this year. I have done spring cleaning, in-depth spring cleaning, sweeping, mopping, dusting. I've put flower arrangements around to help lift my spirits. Maybe I can pull this over here so you can see it better. I've made candles and made them, in colors that match my interior. Fragrances, incense, let's see, wax warmers, air fresheners that you love the smell of, organizing, going through, cupboards and going through closets and throwing out things that you haven't used, or giving away things that are ripped or buttons are missing and you have no intentions of mending them. Washing out my silverware drawers in the kitchen and reorganizing everything and, just making it delicious to be in to cook. Making your, taking pride in what you do if you're a stay-at-home mom. It's a lot of work. And, there's a lot of women that are professional women and they know how to bring in the bacon, and I applaud and respect those women. But there's a lot of us that we're not good at that. We're good at making the home peaceful and making it homey and making it beautiful, so that at the end of the day, the ones that do go out and make a living, they enjoy coming home to a nice, cozy home that's relaxing and peaceful. So, you've got to find things that help lift your spirit. Maybe change out the throw pillows and bring out some that, I went to the thrift store and bought some, that have like flower print and they're in different shades of green, or flowers, real light colored blue flowers, to just help kind of spruce up the couch and carpet clean, maybe change out the sheets in the bedding and put on a more spring colors in your bedroom. Wash windows, windowsills, maybe get some indoor plants to help bring nature inside because all you see is white snow and ice and cold. So maybe pot up a few plants and put them in your windowsills just to kind of bring the outside in. Journaling is really good. You're going to want one journal for shadow work, all the muck and the mess that you've grown up through, childhood experiences, adult experiences. Then you're going to want another journal that you can kind of track your growth and the things you've learned and the things that you want to aspire to keep moving towards. If you want to lose some weight, if you want to start exercising, if you want to start going to thrift stores and finding like some Amish or Mennonite or certain kind of cookbooks that you think you and your family, your children or your husband would enjoy, and you're tired of making the same meals over and over. Take pride in being a stay-at-home mom. I would never want to be anything else. I've been a realtor, I've had administrative jobs, I've done in-home daycare, I've been a teacher assistant, I've worked in the cafeteria at public schools, I've done all kinds of things, and I was always miserable, tired. I didn't want to miss my kids' first steps. I didn't want to miss my kids' first words. When they were sick, I didn't want a stranger taking care of them or them having to line up at a daycare center and end up with diaper rash or pink eye or whatever because they had to stand in line for 15 minutes to get their diaper changed. That just wasn't what my soul screamed out for happiness and to be at peace. I'm at peace being in the home. I'm at peace taking care of the homestead. I'm at peace gardening. I'm at peace growing herbs and drying them and using them not only for cooking, but also, for my practice, my hoodoo, conjure, witchy, Christian religion practice that, you have to have some sort of spirituality. I'm not against having a brick and mortar building that you go to. If you can find that and you feel like it's a second home, you're very fortunate. But that's not, it's not a must be. There's nothing wrong with the people that have great spirituality. They believe in something more than just ourselves. They believe in a creator, whatever that may be for you. Whether that is the Lord, whether it is a deity, whether it is the universe, whatever it is that connects and resonates with you, that's part of building peace and, filling up inside. No puppies, no. So anyway, I hope that this has helped you, given you some ideas of things to do. You could also go through your wardrobe and, maybe decide, okay, this year, last year I was wearing, let's say, this isn't me, I'm just giving you an example. Last year I was wearing a lot of dark, solid colors, dark blue, black, dark gray, grays. This year I'm going to put more color into my wardrobe. I'm going to make it a sunny yellow or pastel yellow or pinks and light blues and light aquas and light corals and, light lime greens and, I'm going to mix and, I'm going to mix things up. You've got to have some changes or things get stale. And when things get stale, that's when depression sets in. So rearrange your living room, rearrange your bedroom. Every 2-3 days, just focus on one room. I'm just going to work on my living room. I'm going to clean the baseboards. I'm going to dust the blinds. I'm going to dust all the furniture, the TV screens, the bookshelves, just really put your heart into it and, go through one room every 2 to 3 days until it is just absolutely delicious and it feels so homey, so content, and take pride in what you do because it's work. And I've actually talked to professional women that said they couldn't do it. They find it easier. This is from their words, their quote. They said, I couldn't stay home with my kids 365 days a year. and do housework and bake and cook and take care of animals and children, they're like, I'd lose my mind. They said, I find it easier to put my kids in daycare and go out and be a professional. And that's okay. That's not dissing or whatever the word is, you know what I mean, on anybody. It's each person's individual needs of what you need to feel whole and at peace and filled up. And for me, it hasn't been the money-making, scamming, scheming, overcharging, you know, picking something up at Goodwill for nothing and then marking it up 4 times of what I paid for it. You know, that's not me. I am a person that is very nurturing, very caring, very loving. I'm very domestic, very domestic. I love to make my home just a wonderful, warm, cozy place. I'm really into the country and shabby chic and, you know, things like that. That's what I like. Other people might be into contemporary styles or more modern styles. I don't like that. I like more of the country, shabby chic look. The pastels, the lighter colors, that's what I enjoy. Okay, this video is probably an hour long, if not more, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. And I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something about Ostara. And if you're a Christian witch like me, welcome to the family. If you're coming off of 100% Christianity and you've always felt like, you know, metaphysics, you kind of thought there was something in that, and the universe and positive thinking and, you know, other aspects that aren't just within the field of Christianity, this may be your place, this may be your fit. So I'll see you next video. Blessings.